Welcome back, guys. It's time for a Junkman Nooner. Before you say it, Junkman, you're wearing the same shirt again. You wore that shirt in like 3 videos now. This is my lay around the house shirt. So, okay. Today, a little different Nooner. You know, Nooner is usually where we talk about something and kind of get the memories going or trying to get the comment section going. But I'm just going to tell you guys a story this time. And I've got my lunchbox here filled with Star Wars toys I had. A lot of these back here, you know, I bought in the 90s or past the 90s, collectibles. But what I keep in here is some toys that I had as a kid. And I'm going to pull one out here. Some of them are the ones I dug up, if you remember when I dug up some figures. But I'm going to pull out this guy. How do I remember that I had this as a kid? Look at that arm. It was loose. It was always loose. Even out of the package, I remember it being loose and being disappointed by that. But this is actually the second one I've ever had. Let's put that right there. Whoa, felt like it was going to fall. Now, this is the Rebel Soldier, Hoth Rebel Trooper, which I played with and act like he was Luke Skywalker for many years. But I can remember getting this figure on a weekend. I got it on a Saturday. I was really excited. I remember I went to the local store, which was probably Kmart, with my grandmother again. My brother wasn't with me. This is one of the few times I went by myself. And I got to pick out whatever Star Wars toys I want with no influence. You know, not my brother getting the first cool one and then telling me which one I should get and all that. And I looked over the Empire Strikes Back figures and I pulled out what I thought was a Luke Skywalker in Hoth outfit. The actual Luke figure wasn't released for a year or maybe 2 later. So I got this one, put him on my Tauntaun. I remember getting home. Putting him in the Tauntaun. I didn't have the open belly, just sliding him into the Tauntaun, holding on to the range, and him and Han Hoth would have a good time. Come Monday, I wanted to show people my figure, right? Wouldn't you? My best friend lived across the street. His name was Boyd. You've heard me talk about him before. We used to ride the bus to school. It took us about 30 minutes to get there, and we met outside the bus stop, and I remember pulling out of my Fraggle Rock boot bag saying, "Look what I got here, a new Star Wars figure." He looked at it too, and he was like, he didn't correct me. I think we both thought it was Luke. And he was, he wasn't into Star Wars like I was, but he was my best friend, so he was going to act like he was really into it. But we got on the bus, and I put the Luke back in my Fraggle Rock backpack for a while, until probably about 15 minutes into the trip. And then I got him out and started letting him have some adventures on the green seats. I don't know why the bus was always green, letting him run around like this. And of course, this was probably 1980, so I was probably going on, I was born in 72, so I was about 10 years old. We was letting him play. He was looking at him. He was playing with it. We were throwing him back and forth and catching it. And that's when John Gorman, call him John, I've talked about him before. He was the Ricky Schroeder of the school, at least in our class. So he was a grade up. But he was like Ricky Schroeder. He was come for money, had his collar up on his polo shirt. Every girl in class wooed over him, especially Amy Covey. Loved him. Everybody loved John. Had perfect winged hair. Believe me, he made Zach Morris look like Screech. So he's like, "What you got there? Let me see that." And he looked at it, and he was, I could tell. And he never asked to look at our Star Wars toys or anything. He never really talked to us before, unless it was to be rude. And he looked at it, and he started making it talk like this. He was like, "I like Star Wars," and stuff. I don't remember what he was saying, but he was like making his head turn. And then he looked at me. I can remember he looked at me. And I can remember sitting in that green vinyl seat, bouncing up and down. And he twisted it and popped his head off. Popped his head off of my new, what I thought was Luke Skywalker action figure. My blood was boiling. Boyd said, "Hold on." Boyd's like, "Hey, stomp down." I was like, "I can't fight John Gorman. I mean, come on, you don't fight Zach Morris, do you? You don't fight Ricky Schroeder." So, I sat back home. I didn't want him to know I was upset. Didn't want to give in to him. He's trying to make me upset. Didn't want to give in to that. So, put the figure He dropped the figure, landed on the floor, picked the figure up. The head had rolled already 4 seats ahead. The head just kept rolling like a tumbleweed. Especially the way Mr. Weeks drove. He was sliding that bus around and everything. He got his kid. It would normally take someone 40 minutes to drive to that school. Mr. Weeks get there in 20, 25 minutes. But finally, I got up out of my seat and tracked down the head, put it all back into my book bag, which wasn't really a Fraggle Rock book bag. I'm too embarrassed to say what it really was. But put it back in there, headed off to class or school. A few hours later, I can remember art class, some class we were at. I guess it wasn't art class. We didn't have, we all stayed in the same classroom. But I think the kids were all doing art, and me and Boyd was talking, and I was like, look, can you believe he did this? I was trying to hold back my tears. I didn't want to cry. I mean, come on. I didn't want to cry. I looked like a wuss. Luckily, John was in a grade higher, one grade higher, so he didn't get to see us talking about it. And I remember Boyd said, well, I got a solution. He says, it's not going to be perfect, but listen, we're going to glue that head back on. You let it sit here during art class. By lunchtime, that Star Wars figure is going to be like new. And I was like, that's why he's a friend right there. So he took the figure, got some of the Elmer school glue, that really white glue, poured it on just gobbed it onto the part of the neck right there, pressed the head down on it, would call that glue just just started running all out, and it was all white running down the side of it. And I was like, oh, it looks like that stuff that my uncle has at his house, that stuff he's always spreading on mayonnaise. Yeah, mayonnaise, that's what it was called. But he put the head on. Remember him holding it down like this, and that white glue was all over the place. We got these hard ass brown napkins. I don't know. You remember? Did y'all have those brown napkins at your school? You take them out. God forbid you had to blow your nose. You're gonna rip your nose all up. You're gonna have a bloody nose. He got that. He got all the glue off of it. He could. It was still all around the neck and everything. But anyway, he held it like this for a long time, and I can remember all through that art class, he just sit here, did this. I think all the other kids were doing drawings or cutting up paper doll scissors or something. And he sat there like that. And I was like, that looks horrible. All I could see was that glue just running down the sides. And that's not going to help. So after about what seemed like 30 minutes, he lifted up his thumb. The head stayed on. I could not believe it. So I took the figure, and it was really horrible looking. Still had a lot of glue, and I thought, okay, it stayed on. If I can get it home, I can clean it up with a knife or something, get the glue off, and I can still have him write a tauntaun and everything, right? So I took the figure right here and put him back into my non-Fraggle Rock book bag, and went out through my day. A couple more hours went around, and probably about 1 o'clock, halfway through the day, Boy said, what about that figure? How's his head and everything? I said, well, let me look. So I unzipped the bag on the little pouch on the side, looked inside. He was laying like this. His head was laying about this far away. Couldn't believe it. It was like looking into a body bag. I was like, so I pulled it out. The head was still missing. Well, not missing. The head was gone. The glue was... That glue wasn't going to hold it. If it was super glue, if it was Gorilla Glue, maybe it would have worked. But it wasn't going to work with this. So that's what Boy was like, well, maybe we can nail it. And I was like, no, it's not going to work if you nail it. And he's like, yeah, you can put a nail on top of his head, just a little thin nail it down in there. I was like, no, don't worry. If it's ruined, don't worry about it. And by this time, I wanted revenge. I didn't care about my Luke Skywalker head anymore, which wasn't Luke Skywalker, but I thought it was. I didn't care anymore. I did not care. I was like, I just want revenge. And we all had recess. We were probably third, fourth, off the top of my head, third, fourth grade. John Gorman was one ahead. So we all had recess at the same time. Now, let's go back a little bit. Probably about 2 weeks before the Luke head story, John was playing school softball, baseball, softball, whatever you call it. We'll say Little League. It was part of the school. And it seems that we were playing some rival school. I wasn't there. I didn't care anything about going. But John was a star pupil of the football team, the baseball team, whatever. Whenever it came to playing with balls, John could play with balls better than anyone. So there he was. And the story goes that he was a man on second and third, 3 outs, or 2 outs, near the end of the game, probably 9th inning, I'm guessing here. And thanks to John, who decided to hit a home run right there at the last minute, the team won, and John was a local hero, at least for the school. For 2 weeks, that's all you heard about, especially from the girls. Oh, John can hit balls. Oh, John can catch balls. Oh, John can do this with a ball. He can do that with balls. John, balls. That's all I heard for about 2 weeks is John and his damn ball. And I was like, okay, he can catch a ball. Good, he can hit a ball. I don't care, whatever. So there we were at recess. Back to the timeline here. We're back in recess, and there's a green jasmine backpack. And it's got markings all over it. First, it's got stickers or patches from sports teams. I remember a Pittsburgh Steelers. I remember Mean Joe Green being on it. I think he might have been with the Steelers. I had a bunch of I could see a bunch of sports stuff all over it. But then, this is key to whose this book bag was. All the girls in 3rd, 4th, there was even some girls from the 6th grade had signed their names on that book bag. This is what John did. For some reason, he wanted girls. I don't know if he let boys sign it. I just remember seeing girls' name on it. Sign his book bag. That's how cocky this kid was. You know, he was like, I'm so cool. All the girls are going to want to sign my book bag. And that just made me hate him even worse. Anyway, so I saw that book bag sitting there. Boyd was with me, and I was like, look, there's John's book bag. And he's like, yeah, so what? You know, what you gonna do? Get his math book out and take a shit in the middle of it? Well, that would have probably been fun too, but sitting there thinking about what I thought was a Luke Skywalker and saying, just don't seem right that something I care about, something I love and cherish so much is destroyed thanks to this guy. And he's over there on the monkey bars, you know, telling his ball catching story, a ball hitting story, and I'm over here left without my toy. So told boy, I said, watch it. Just watch the playground. I'll point out, there's John down there by the monkey bars. You watch him. Let me handle this. I said, I'm going to go. He said, what are you going to do? I said, I know John. I know he didn't come to this. I know John. I know what's in that book bag besides books. So I went to the book bag, opened up the pouch in the front. Didn't see anything. I saw a compass, I saw a T-square or something. I saw a bunch of stuff that I didn't care what it was. Opened up the middle. A few books in there, some notebooks. Reached my hand down to feel around. There it was. In the bottom of that book bag, in the corner. I could feel it. It's round and hard. I knew what balls felt like. I had touched many balls in my life, although I don't play sports. So I pulled it out, and there was that winning ball from 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. I was like, I know John. I know he's going to have that ball. He's going to keep that ball. He's going to put it up in his room by his trophy case. Because I went to his house one time. He did have a trophy case. He had a trophy shelf. It had trophies on it. The kid's like 11 years old. He's got trophies. Anyway, so I got that ball. And I started thinking, this ball means a lot to him. Does it mean more to him than what I thought was a Luke Skywalker meant to me? Maybe so. Started to look at it. So I took that ball into my pants, into my pocket. Took that ball. So went back to class and everything. Well, zipped the bag up. Went back to class and everything. Throughout our day. Got back on the bus. And I was sitting there on the bus. By this time, I transferred the ball into my book bag. So I was sitting on the bus. There's John back there in the back of the bus, talking to all these girls. Amy's like this. I want to hear all about his ball playing stories. And, you know, I'm sitting in the front with my friend Boyd. I'm thinking of that ball. That ball is still on my mind. The figure's still on my mind. I know I got at least 3 more stops. I know John gets off after I do. Right before I do. So we got it to the one stop. Kids got off. And I was like, okay, John is next. And then I'm after him. So we got almost probably about to John's stop. And we passed over this bridge area. I pulled that ball out of that ball. And I said, hey, John, this look familiar? And at first he was like, yeah, it took him a minute. He's like, baseball, so what? So he was like, wait a minute. He says, did you get that from me? And I was like, I don't know where I got it. I found it in a boot bag with autographs on it. He knew then where I got it at. And, here he stood up in the back and he's like, he's coming to get his ball, man. This guy doesn't want anyone to touch his balls. He's going to grab it. He's coming up there. And I just take that ball. Boyd, on cue, he knew what I was going to do. Push his fingers into the window of the bus, and the bus passenger side. There's like a little clip. You pull it down, it only comes down halfway. He threw that down. I tossed that ball up and catch it, and I'm no ball expert. I ain't no catcher or nothing. And here goes. I'm going to chunk that ball out that window because we're passing over that bridge area. I was like, this is going to be glory. This is my revenge. I could not wait. And I knew he would get off the bus next stop. I would get off the bus after that, so he couldn't beat me up, right? So I threw that ball as hard as I could. Bam! I couldn't ring the window. I was about this far from it, half a window down, and I hit the bottom of it, busted the glass, it cracked it all up. That ball went bing, flying to the other side of the bus. Mr. Weeks, the bus driver, slammed on brakes. All our kids rumbled. We didn't have seatbelts, rumbled around. And he was like, what is that? What's going on back there? And I was, my face was probably all red. I was embarrassed. I can't throw a ball. My plan didn't work out. And I look over there and there's John laughing with the ball in his hand. Now, I sat back down and we were like, I think Boyd said he hit his head on the window or something, and we made up some excuse, and the bus carried on and let John off. And I can remember John walking past me with that cocky Ricky Schroeder smile, like, think you got me, right? I almost put my foot out and tripped him, but I didn't know I should have. And I wish I could have told you that I took his prize-winning ball and threw it on the bridge, and it was lost forever, and it was revenge for breaking what I thought was a loose figure, but sadly, it didn't really work out like that. I had a broke figure with no head on it that I ended up probably throwing away or just playing with as best I could till I got another one, which was this one here, which it makes me mad because it means I could have got a figure I didn't have. I had to buy something I already had. But I wish it had a better ending to this story. I wish I could have told you that I got my revenge, or John learned his lesson, or all the girls decided that they wanted to hang out with me and Boyd. But no, it was only a couple of weeks later, John did something on the football team, and they forgot about his big baseball win and started talking with him about his big football win. But that's my story of my headless rebel soldier that I thought was a Luke Skywalker. Now, I'm not really sure if you guys are entertained by this story as I am, but it's always stuck with me, and I thought I would share it with you guys. Well, as always, thumb up to my content, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk again soon.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.